Good old Flash games, a staple of everyone's childhood experience. For some, Flash games were their first introduction to video games. Being able to just go on a website and get lost in the endless pool of well-made Flash games made for a lot of core memories. From the great Flash game websites such as Y8, Mini Clip, Cool Math Games, Addicting Games. If you were a daring individual, Newgrounds, which I myself wasn't, but I know a lot of people were. Me, and probably many of you, probably played a lot of their Flash games though on the Cartoon Network website. Back in the day, Cartoon Network's website used to be full of top tier Flash games. Every single one of their shows had at least one Flash game that would get you hooked. From Edna and Eddie's Lunchroom Rumble, Billy and Mandy Harem Sankrum, Teen Titans Battle Blitz, which don't get me started on Battle Blitz, my nigga, or even Codename Kids Next Door Startup. But like I said, the list can just go on and on for how many quality Flash games Cartoon Network had. However, when it came to quality and quantity in Flash games, Ben 10 was just on a whole nother level. Each Ben 10 show from Classic to Omniverse had their fair share of well-made Flash games. You had their side-scroller beat-em-ups, their platformers, and even some 3D entries. Oh, and you also had a basketball game because, you know, like, why not let Ben turn to Steph Curry from downtown, you know? So today I decided to go back and revisit some of these old nostalgic Ben 10 Flash games to see if they're still as fun as they were when I was a kid. Probably not, but, you know, why not go back and relive your childhood for a while, you know? Sometimes you got to. I tried my best to go back and actually play as many of these as I could with the help of the Flashpoint archive program, but unfortunately some of them just refused to work. Sadly, one of them was battle ready, but, you know, I'm gonna keep my depression on that one to myself. Luckily though, I did spend a lot, and I mean a lot, of my childhood playing all these games, so I still remember how good or bad they were. Starting off with the most iconic Ben 10 Flash game and the first ever one to be added to Cartoon Network website, I'm of course talking about Ben 10 Battle Ready. Gwen and Max send Ben to an abandoned Sumo Summer Factory to train with the Omnitrix, but when Vilgax picks up the Omnitrix's signature, he sends his drones to retrieve it. The goal of the game is to complete all 10 of these training simulators for each of Ben's aliens, which will then lead you to take on Vilgax's giant robot from the end of the episode, and then there were 10. The best part about this game was that it gave you full access to Ben's arsenal from the get-go. Unlike majority of the console games, you are given access to all 10 of Ben's aliens, and even though their combat isn't the most fleshed out, just the fact that you can switch between all of them was enough for everyone to love this game. The game also has some memorable level design, like having to phase through walls as Ghost Freak, the aesthetic change on gray matter levels, and the underwater levels for Ripjaws. Plus, just being able to move around pretty fast to accelerate for once was also cool as fuck. I never got the chance to beat this one due to it being one of the longer Flash games I played, and the level design, while it is memorable, can get very confusing at times. Like, you can get lost pretty easily playing Ghost Freak sections or Stinkfly sections, but this game just has so much charm into it, just from being able to play as all your favorite aliens, and just how well they translate to this game. It's just impossible to hate it. It had a lot of fans yearning for it when it for some reason just disappeared off the face of the internet one day. This game is just iconic for Ben 10 fans and just the overall community, so I think it would be a disservice to make this anything but an S tier. Savage Pursuit is another well-known Ben 10 Flash game. In this one, the Tennysons find out that Animal has sent his mutant animals to retrieve pieces for his transmodulator, so Ben must recover the pieces before Animal does. This game plays like a traditional platform, but it gives you access to 4 of Ben's aliens. Heat Blast, whose special ability is to shoot fireballs, Cannonbolt, who can go into his ball form and just roll through literally everything, Wild Vine, who can shoot explosive seeds and swing from certain vines in the trees, and Wild Mud, who can just detect mines. Savage Pursuit, like I said, is another beloved Ben 10 Flash game, but after playing it again, I really don't like it as much as I did when I was younger. The boss battles are the best part of this game, especially that final one against the T-Rex, but all the levels suffer from just all feeling the exact same, especially when they make you do them again just backwards after you defeat the bosses. It all just makes the game feel kind of boring after a while. Also, Wild Mud is basically useless here, as you can just run through all the mines you can detect as Cannonbolt and just live, so Wild Mud has like no real use in this game, especially since he doesn't have an attack either. Cannonbolt and Wild Vine are like the only aliens you need to beat this game, but of course I played as Heat Blast, because why wouldn't you play as the GOAT? Funny enough, there's also a Race Against Time version of this game, but the only thing that changes is the fact that Race Against Time Ben is on the screen, as it has no real connection to the movie or, you know, no model changes or anything, so that's just a weird little tidbit. While it's not one of my favorites, and revisiting it has definitely made it grown off me a bit, but as a kid I definitely caught myself playing this one a lot, so I think anything but an A tier would be disrespectful to it. Ben 10 to the Rescue was personally one of my favorite Flash games growing up. This game has you saving Gwen from Tetrax, I mean Hoverboard. His name is Hoverboard. What made this game so special to me was the variety in its levels. Level 1 had you following Hoverboard with Accelerate while dodging cars and destroying Vilgax drones. Level 2 would turn you into gray matter as you go through these circuit panels solving puzzles in order to sneak into Hoverboard's base. Level 3 had you rescuing Gwen as Wildmud as you escape the base and outrun both Magma and Hoverboard, all in a really fun platform section. The final level turns you into Diamond Head where you finally take on and defeat Hoverboard. And after that, there's some really nice dialogue with Tetrax telling you that he sees the Omnitrix is in good hands and he tells you to keep it safe. The fact that this game was structured like an actual episode is what made it so special and stand out to me, as you go from chasing the bad guys to saving Gwen to then defeating the bad guy, and then you get a little bit of resolution at the end. So that always stuck out to me as a kid. It's rare that any of these Flash games actually make it feel like you're playing an episode of Ben 10, and that's why it was always so special to me. And of course, the gameplay sections are fun respectively, so this game is gonna get an A tier for sure. Cannonbolt Pinball is exactly what the title says. It's pinball, but with cannonballs. There's certainly worse Flash games in this, and trust me, we'll get to them, but this one loses its enjoyment pretty quick for me. It does have some nice additions like some small boss battles and modifiers to keep it somewhat interesting, and it even has a little story about ghost freaks, Zombozo, and the circus freaks, oddly enough. I just think it's a fun way to kill some time, maybe about like 5 minutes or so before it ends up just getting really boring. So if you're looking for like a Ben 10 pinball game to waste some time on, this will certainly do the trick. However, for me though, this one will go in C tier. Ben 10 and Kraken Attack is just, it's so ass, man. You play as Heat Blast, Diamond Head, Stinkfly, and Upgrade, doing nothing but shooting the Kraken as you circle around him, and that's all you do for like 7 levels. This game is painfully boring. I avoided it like the plague when I was younger, especially when I started playing it and then the Kraken's non-stop yelling started hurting my fucking ears, bro. Like, there's nothing good about this game. This is a for sure D tier. Blockade Blitz is one of those brick breaker games just with Ben 10 aliens. Like Cannonbolt Pinball though, it randomly has a story involved in it and is only fun for like 5 minutes. I like it more than Cannonbolt Pinball though, simply because of the alien power-ups you get, but overall I'd probably put it in C tier. Critical Impact. In this game, you try to rack up a high score by destroying meteors as Heat Blast while avoiding obstacles by switching to Ghost Freak. Similar to the last couple of games I mentioned, this one doesn't have nearly as much depth as others, as what I told you is basically all there is to it. I didn't play this much as a kid, and I can see why, because like I said, there's really nothing here but shooting and dodging. But it's fine for what it is. It can go in C tier. Now this was another banger. Another one of my childhood favorites was Sumo Slammer Samurai. This Flash game was based on the classic series episode Game Over. It sees you playing as Ben as you traverse through the various Sumo Slammer levels. As Ben, you can throw shurikens and attack with a sword, and the aliens featured here are only 2 in Forearms and Cannonbolt, and their main purpose in this game is just to help you break certain walls. As with Forearms, you enter a sequence of buttons to smash walls, and Cannonbolt, you can just roll right through them. When I went back to this game though, I kind of realized that the bosses were pretty fucking lame, as the first 2 were the same type of boss, and Kenko was just a typical big robot where in order to defeat him, you have to attack his hands when they're open. But what I did like was the platforming, as it could be very tricky at times, especially on the second level, and that adds a lot of challenge to this Flash game. It kind of makes it pretty fun. Plus, it's based on one of my favorite episodes as a kid. I just love the whole Sumo Slammer aesthetic presented in both this game and the episode. So I'm gonna be a bit biased here and put Sumo Slammer Samurai in A tier. Going into the UAF era of Flash games, the game creator was one of the most iconic Flash games out there on Cartoon Network's website, alongside maybe Ben 10 Battle Ready. It was basically Mario Maker but with Ben 10, and just like Mario Maker, this game's quality was its replayability. In this game, fans were able to create and share their levels for others to play. The game had a huge roster of aliens you could play as, and that eventually got expanded as it went on. Like during Ultimate Aliens run, they ended up adding Ultimate Aliens to be playable. And during Omniverse's run, they added 8 more characters for you to play as. One of them was Rook. Kevin, Gwen, and Goop were playable too, but they were strangely region locked to Asia and New Zealand, so I never got the chance to use them. In this game, you had 4 unique ways of completing a stage, one of which was getting to the goal, one of which was destroying all the enemies, another was collecting all the orbs, or getting all the orbs and destroying all the enemies. People were able to get pretty creative with this game's level creation and made some really hard levels, while some would just fill the level up with enemies for you to destroy, which is fine too. I'll take Swamp Fire in there and just kill them all. That's fun too. They also released a couple more streamlined versions of the game that let you play certain levels both easy and hard for individual characters. The game had a lot of support during its lifespan, and with the endless level variety and giant roster of aliens this game gave you, you could easily get tricked into playing it for hours without even noticing. Do you think this game could have gotten even better if they went through on adding Heat Blast, Forearms, and Wildmud to it? Regardless of that, this is still the holy grail of Cartoon Network's Flash games, and is easily an S tier. I know people that like forever defense, but personally I find it super monotonous. The game lets you switch between the Alien Force trio. Ben uses Swamp Fire to shoot fireballs, Gwen reflects incoming projectiles, and Kevin sucks the life out of shield enemies. While it can feel pretty cool to effectively switch between the three rapidly, like you're unlocking some sort of flow state, I just can't get past the mouse controls, bro. It's cool for what it is, that we can play as a trio, and that there's even a Dragon Boss every 10 levels, but overall this game was just never really for me. I'm definitely gonna put this one straight in the D tier. Ben 10's Swarm Smash has you going to rescue Gwen and Kevin by battling herds of microchips as Humongosaur. And that's it. That's basically the game. But I'm not gonna lie to y'all, this one is a bit of a guilty pleasure for your boy. This game makes beating the shit out of all these microchips as Humongosaur pretty damn fun. And if I'm complimenting something Humongosaur related, that's how you know this shit's a banger. It's just dumb beat 'em up fun that kept my young monkey brain occupied. That also has some fire ass background music, like who was in the studio cooking this shit, bro? I know it may be a hot take to some of y'all to throw fucking Swarm Smash in the B tier. Like, oh my god, Dan, it's so fucking boring. You don't do nothing but punch shit. Look, I got a monkey brain, like I said. It just scratches the itch for me. It's just something so captivating about just beating the shit out of these microchips that I just have to rank this one high. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. You gonna stop me? Or you gonna fight me about it? No, you're not. Probably gonna leave an angry comment calling me stupid, which is fine, you know, help me get in the algorithm. Also subscribe while you're down there and like the video while you're down there. Doing a 2-for-1 here, as both of these games are relatively the same. Omnitrix and Ultimatrix Unleashed are both beat 'em ups that let you play as 3 of Ben's aliens across 3 levels. Omnitrix Unleashed lets you play as Blitzwolfer, Eye Guy, and Forearms, and its levels are based around the -10 arc, with you fighting the Forever Ninja, Rojo, and the Forever King as boss battles. While Ultimatrix Unleashed lets you play as Spider Monkey, Swamp Fire, and Humongosaur on top of their ultimate alien forms, and it's based around the first couple episodes of Ultimate Alien, with you going against Bivalven, Zombozo, and Harangue Stalker Robot. In my opinion, I much prefer Omnitrix over Ultimatrix, both these games and the actual like devices. The ability to go ultimate is cool, but being able to play as Blitzwolfer and Eye Guy is way cooler to me, because those are aliens you never really get to play as in anything Ben 10 related. I think Eye Guy has like one real appearance in one of the console games. Plus, to me, Omnitrix also has the better boss battles compared to Ultimatrix. While both are fun, small, beat 'em up games, I'll put Omnitrix Unleashed in A though, and Ultimatrix Unleashed will get a B. Ultimate Alien Rescue is another platformer, but kind of one of the more obscure ones. You jump around Agrigore's ship to collect keys that will free the Andromeda 5, but the control scheme though low-key was beating my ass, since you have to move with the arrow keys but attack with the mouse. It was kind of tough since I had to use a touchpad, but I think aiming and having to click to punch is a bit strange, I'm not gonna lie. As a kid playing this one on the website and other games that use mouse controls, I would sometimes swipe off the damn game like an idiot, but there's a little bit of pent up aggression in me. One of my favorite parts about this game though is that the ultimate transformation is built into a gauge bar, that when you fill it up to a certain amount, you can then transform into ultimate Swamp Fire. And the more you let the gauge build up, the longer the transformation will last. Also, the final battle with Agrigore has 2 phases to his boss battle, which is something not many Flash games do, so I thought that was really dope. However, I'm still gonna put this one in C tier though, as them controls were not for me, bro. Like they can't do that one, can't do that one. Now, similar to Cannonbolt Pinball and Blockade Blitz, Ben 10 Hero Hoops is a Flash game that you'll probably only want to play for 5 minutes, and you'll only play it for those 5 minutes if you have time to spare. This game gets really stale after a while. The game is just basketball, but with Ben 10. You aim the cursor to shoot the ball and you just try to get a high score while utilizing the power-ups it gives you to your advantage. But like, that's really it. There's nothing really that interesting about this one. This game also has a Gwen counterpart, but they use her 10-year-old version instead of like her Alien Force one, considering this is an Alien Force era game. But nothing is different about this version of the game other than the fact that you just play as Gwen. No different power-ups, no nothing. I barely played these growing up as a kid because I could kind of tell from afar that these games were just pretty fucking lame. However, they're still better than fucking Kraken Attack and Forever Defense, so I'm putting it in C tier. Ben 10 Ultimate Crisis made me hate being a broke ass nigga. This Flash game was made in the Unity engine, so anytime I tried running it on my old laptop as a kid, it would fucking turn it into a goddamn grenade. I did find ways to play it as a kid though, as a 3D Ben 10 beat 'em up always looked so cool to me. I just had to play it some way somehow. You play as Ultimate Swamp Fire in this game, and you just get to go to town on Agrigore and all of his robots with some sick ass fucking combo moves. I didn't get to play much of this game, but the small amount I did, I fucking loved it. Ultimate Swamp Fire became so cool to me because of this game. Like, his moveset to me as a kid was just so fucking cool. The way you can just plow through endless waves of enemies Oh my, boy, this shit had me locked in, brother. I'd be biased to put this shit in A tier, but to be honest, I'm gonna be fucking biased because this is an S tier game and it made for an S tier experience for me as a kid. Now, going into the Omniverse era, they don't really have that many nostalgic Flash games other than like the Omniverse collection for the game creator, and that's really it. So some of these I kind of just have to listen to the community on. One of the Omniverse Flash games I've seen people bring up was Duel of the Duplicates. Duel of the Duplicates is sort of reminiscent of Savage Pursuit, where you get a small selection of aliens to choose from that you have to use to traverse through the level, and at the end of the level, you fight a boss battle. In this game, it's Albedo using one of 3 alien forms. The first one, he'll be Stero, the second one, he'll be Blocks, and the third one, he'll be Ultimate Humongosaur. The difference that this game has in comparison to Savage Pursuit is that you can't turn into Ben, and you only get 3 aliens here instead of 4. You get to play as Feedback, Blocks, and Snarrow. And it's also shorter than Savage Pursuit with only 3 levels. But what I do like in this game is that it actually requires you to switch between aliens, as you can't just run through any of the obstacles here like you kind of could in Savage Pursuit. Only Feedback can walk on the electric panels, only Snarrow can walk on these wrap platforms, and only Blocks can break these Lego walls. So it really incentivizes the ability to switch. However, that's the only real plus I'll give it over Savage Pursuit, since the boss battles in this game are easily the worst I think I've gone against. I know this can be applied to most Flash games, especially Ben 10, but I literally just sat in one spot and shot these bosses to death. The bosses require like no brain power to beat. Even the Echo enemies that wander across the stages, you can just ignore. And they do have other types of clones, like they have stat clones and shield clones, but they pose no threat to you at all, especially the Blocks. You can just fucking one-shot them. I had some fun with this game when it came to the platforming, but it wasn't enough fun for me to put it in A tier next to Savage Pursuit, so I'll stick it in B. Ben 10 Galactic Champions is the last Flash game I played, and it really surprised me in the time that I did play. This is a Ben 10 strategy turn-based game. You can just select your own hero watch, as they call it in this game, and these have some pretty cool ass designs. From there, you pick a starter alien from the options being Ditto, Buzzshock, or Ball Weevil, but you can unlock more alien species like Forearms, Big Chill, Heat Blast, Spider Monkey, Humongosaur, Upchuck, and Feedback. You then are able to take these aliens into battle by participating in one of the many, and I mean many, tournaments in this game. I found it also funny when I boot up the game, they use random stock voices for Ben instead of like the mountains of voice lines they have for the character. Hey! Just some generic ass heys and heys. The game is basically Pokemon but with Ben 10, and it's shockingly in-depth for a Flash game. It has this unique cardboard style, a well-done combat system, and even a level up and shop system. This game will definitely take some time to complete, as I think it's probably the longest Ben 10 Flash game out there, maybe next to the point and click games. However, me being a Ben 10 junkie though, that sounds like a good time, so I'll probably be going back to finish this game after I complete this video. For what I played though, I think this game definitely deserves an S tier, as it has a lot going for it that even someone like myself can really enjoy. I feel like every once in a while it's important to go back and relive your childhood and kind of just soak in that nostalgic factor you get whenever you see something from your past. While I don't enjoy some of these games as much as I did when I was younger, some of them are still pretty decent and can deliver some micro doses of fun. Let me know down below what was your favorite Ben 10 Flash game growing up as a kid, and if you want me to do a part 2 going over the ones I didn't cover, as well as maybe some of the overall Cartoon Network Flash games, like, you know, maybe some Scooby-Doo ones, maybe some Teen Titans ones, because those were some of my favorites too. I didn't just like the Ben 10 ones, no. Cartoon Network has some bangers. So if you want to see a video of me talking about those, make sure you hit that like button, also subscribe, and don't forget to turn notifications on so you never miss an upload, as well as consider becoming a member. It's not mandatory, but there are some cool perks there, like monthly video voting. You know, I got a poll up for the members to vote on what video I'll be making this month and next month, all type of shit. So if that interests you, consider becoming a member. It's only $1. But that being said, it's been your boy Dan the Boy Wonder, signing out. Peace.